That's right, it is time to put the TRD Cold Air Intake on the new Tacoma behind me. For those of you that don't know, this is a 2020 Tacoma TRD Off Road. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. If you take a look over here, you can see we've got the hood up on the Tacoma, and we have a mod down on the table. That's right, it is time to put the TRD Cold Air Intake on the new Tacoma behind me. For those of you that don't know, this is a 2020 Tacoma TRD Off Road. Now, it is the same intake that I took off of the 2018 Tacoma that I traded for this bad boy back here. Now, it's going to be interesting for me because I didn't really feel a difference on the other truck. So I'm curious to see a couple of things. One, if this same kit fits on the 2020, and two, is it going to make a difference? I mean, it is a different truck as far as it's a manual transmission. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to feel anything differently. This is kind of a performance slash fuel economy mod, supposedly. Supposedly you get better with both. I don't know, we're going to find out, so we're going to go through the install real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. First of all, get a little more light in here. Hopefully that makes things brighter. Now, we got to go ahead and pull the engine cover. That's pretty simple. You just kind of lift up and pull off. Not much to this thing, really. Now, let's take a quick look and make sure that things look at least the same, and I think they are. Things look pretty similar to me. So we have to remove this vacuum hose right back here in the back. And then we have to disconnect the MAF sensor, and it's located right here. And then there's a couple of little brackets that hold it on to the intake itself. So we're going to go ahead and remove those things first. As I recall, the most difficult thing to get off was this little vacuum line here, because it fits pretty darn snugly over the intake on the cold air intake. I think that's the only thing over here. It's pretty simple. And then, like I said, getting this thing off can be a joy. Okay, we were able to twist that thing off. It didn't come off too terribly hard, so that's disconnected. Now the MAF sensor, and that right at the top is a little push-in area, if you will. So you just kind of push that in to release it from the little nub down below it, and should be able to just pull up, just like so. So that releases the MAF sensor. Now, we do have the little bracket holder here, the thing that holds the cable on. We do have to remove that, and then there is one back here in the back. It's one of those little push-like things that goes into the back of the existing intake. So, we're going to remove those next. Alright, we've got the MAF sensor brackets all disconnected back there. Pretty easy, they just kind of pull out. So now we need to loosen the clamp that holds the cold air intake onto the throttle body, and then we should be able to remove it just by releasing it from the back here over the air box. It should pull right off. So let's give that a try. Pretty simple to do. Get this clamp nice and loosened up here. Don't want to go too far. I'm not looking to pull the screw out. That's it. Now we should be able to unhook the air box, if you will. You know, where the air filter is, right back there. And then we should be able to pull it right off. Okay. Set the MAV connection, or the power for it, rather. Got it back here out of the way. Okay. Make sure I didn't miss anything. I didn't. So that separates the OEM airbox, if you will. Now there's a couple of parts, or at least, yeah, I think two, we have to transfer from the existing intake to the new one. So we're going to go over and do that next. All right, we're over here at the table. We have the new intake, or gently used, I should say, and the existing. So we have to transfer the MAF sensor, which is right here, just a couple of Phillips head screws, into the new TRD intake. And then this little bracket here that holds the MAF sensor, we need to relocate that over to here as well. For a minute there, I thought I broke it. I did not break it. Now we need to relocate it onto the new, and it is a little bit different. This one kind of sits on top here, and this one is kind of indented in. So let's go ahead and push that in, just like that, and that should be where the wiring for the MAF sensor will go, and it'll just clamp back down. So that should be a good spot. If that doesn't work, then I'll relocate it back up to the top. Now, moving on, we need to take this MAF sensor out and put it into the new intake. And that's just a couple of Phillips head screws right here on the edges. So we'll go ahead and pull that off. All right, we've got the MAF sensor out. It will just slide right back into the hole here on the new intake, in theory. Should just fit just as snugly right in there, and it does. We'll put our Phillips head screws back in and move on to the next step. Okay, that was pretty simple to do. We've relocated the bracket and the MAF sensor, and now we have to put this larger flow air accelerator in. Okay, next up is removal of the existing air box so that you can get to the airflow accelerator down in the fender well. So, to do that, pretty simple. Let's take the air filter out, which we will be reusing, by the way. And there are 3 bolts down here. 2 inside the air box, and a 3rd back here in the corner. So, let's see, I can't remember which size those are. Let's find out. First one. It is a number 12. Go figure, it is not a number 10. Come on, Toyota. All right, let's go ahead and remove those. Once I have those out, we'll pull the air box and I'll show you how to switch out the airflow accelerator here, which is really what this whole intake is about. The resonator on it is a little bit smaller, but other than that, it's really all about this. All right, we've got the bolts removed. With any luck, it should just pull straight out, I think. Let's find out. And it does. We do need to go ahead and put the new airflow accelerator in there. And you want to make sure that you line up this slot. Once it's in the hole right there in the side of the fender, you want to make sure this slot is facing upwards, because that's where the box is going to plug into once we have this thing in. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in. It just kind of squeezes and fits in that hole. This goes up against the back to give you a seal, and that's it. Okay, a couple things. First of all, you need to remove this little nub from the end of your air box. You do not use this, so it's going to go in the pile there. And then let me show you the collar all installed and the air box in it here. Get some light in there. You guys can see, I think, right down in here, right there is where the air box goes into the collar that you can see right there, which is in the fender well. And that's it. So we've got it all in there. Now we just need to put the bolts back in, screw it back down, and throw the filter in it. And then we're ready to put the top part of the intake back on. A little tip for you, I'd go ahead and put the air filter in first, so that you don't have to kind of try to finagle that while you're trying to do this. That's a bit of a drag. But you should be able to just slip this back on now over the throttle body. Looks like everything is lining up pretty darn good. I'm impressed. They didn't change anything underneath here, at least nothing I have seen so far. So there, that puts the throttle body back on. Okay, real quick, little tip for you there. I did change the clamp around. It really needs, the screw really needs to face out towards the front of the truck. Just makes it easier to screw it on, to be quite honest. Okay, we've got everything secured as far as the intake on the throttle body. Now, just need to go ahead and reconnect the vacuum hose there and put the MAF sensor back in place. And we should be golden. So, let's go ahead and get that done. First of all, we'll start with the mass flow air sensor, I guess. There's, again, remember, there's two little places, one in the back here where it fastens down, and then over here where we put our little clamp on. Should be good. Go ahead and plug this thing in. There you go, because you know you've got to have that. If you don't, you're probably going to throw a light, and we don't want to throw lights. You guys can probably hear it click. That's it. We've got the mass flow or mass airflow sensor back connected and secured down. So all we have to do is take care of this vacuum hose. All right, that was pretty simple to get back on. So now all we need to do is reseat the engine cover. This is pretty simple. Just remember, it just kind of hooks back here over these little rubber pieces and then plugs into a couple underneath here. Okay, that's it. That's the install. Came out really well. I do have to say there were no changes. So if Toyota is kind of positioning for the next version of the Tacoma, they didn't do it this year. This is what it looks like. Again, for me, it's more of an aesthetic thing. I do like the way, especially with this voodoo blue truck, that the black, or the red rather, contrasts against it. It looks awesome under here. We're gonna find out, as I mentioned earlier, whether or not putting this intake on a manual transmission Tacoma makes any difference. I'll be surprised, but hopefully I'm wrong, and it is gonna make some sort of a difference. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below. What do you think of the look? And I'd also be curious to know, if you've put one in, did you really notice any difference in performance or fuel economy? Let me know. As usual, appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And check out my other channel if you're interested in the Jeep Gladiator. I've got another channel called RobMotive that deals solely with that. Have a great day. Bye.